I find it rather unfortunate that something that should be as joyful and fun as professional wrestling and the supposed community that surrounds it, internet or otherwise, I find it very sad that it comes to some of the things that it comes to. Case in point, anytime I say anything positive about AEW on YouTube, you don't see the comments because I delete them because they're just vile, or they get sent to the spam folder because they're full of slurs. You know, a huge group of WWE fans will just come out of nowhere and just say some of the most toxic and sometimes disturbing things. And I really don't want to add to that noise anymore. I used to sit there and fight back with insults, and I used to make videos fighting back with insults. And it's pointless because I would rather talk with people who are willing to have actual discussions and make videos geared towards people who are willing to have actual discussions rather than just, you dumb idiot, this product sucks and you're an idiot for watching it, haha. And that goes for both sides, but I've been seeing a lot more of it coming from the WWE side of things, and it's just very unfortunate because that mentality can spread a lot of ignorance, and part of that ignorance is thinking that AEW mentioning WWE in their storylines, in their promos, Cody destroying the chair at whatever the pay-per-view was, I can't remember names. I can barely remember names of people, much less all these shows that they do. All these things are wrong. It's wrong for Tony Khan to throw shade at Vince McMahon on Twitter, or they think it's desperate. They think it's dirty because, oh, you're building a story off of another company's hard work and the story that they built. Or they think it's desperate, like, oh, you're trying to get WWE to acknowledge you and give you all that praise. I want to focus on that one first, the desperation one, because that's like the go-to one that because it's embarrassing, right, to be so desperate that you're trying to get into someone's head and hey, look at me, I exist over here. AEW does not need WWE's acknowledgement to thrive, okay? And the biggest reason for that is the crowd that enjoys what AEW puts out and the crowd that enjoys what WWE puts out, they want completely different things. A WWE fan goes and watch a full AEW show, they might be confused. They might not. They'll be like, why is there 70 minutes of wrestling on a 90-minute program? What? Oh my God! Where are all of the skits and the funny haha bits, and where's all the magic and poof and smoke and conversely, an AEW fan will go and watch a WWE show and they might be confused by the goofiness and the way that storylines don't run together and make sense, and the plot holes and the inconsistencies and the bad writing in general and the lack of an emphasis on athleticism and professional wrestling and segments being coherent. This whole AEW versus WWE thing, it's not Coke versus Pepsi, okay? It's more like Pepsi versus a houseplant. Not necessarily saying one is better than the other. In my opinion, one is definitely better than the other. But it's like, is there really, when we get up in arms over things like another company throwing shade at another company, it really exposes the ignorance that you can't really blame a WWE fan for, a lifelong WWE fan, because that's the way that they have been patterned and conditioned and trained by Vince McMahon to view the wrestling business, that you don't acknowledge the other guy. You don't throw shade at the other guy. You don't mention the talent's name. You don't mention the company's name. In their story here in WWE, you don't mention what they did in ROH. You don't mention what they did in CZW or TNA or any independent promotion at all, because they want you to believe that what you see on TV, whether they worked somewhere before or not, that they are a product of WWE, that they are property of WWE, that they are team WWE. The other side, AEW, they're more rational about this. They see a wrestler or two wrestlers, and they see that both of them spent time in WWE, and they go, well, we can go a couple of ways about this. We can insult the fans' intelligence and expect them to just forget about all of the time that they spent together in this other company just for the sake of it being another company, or we can acknowledge it and accept that the people watching this program know about the history between these two. And if they don't know about the history between these two, that's fine, because we can build interest with what they did in another program. It's called storytelling, and that's another thing you may not be so used to if you've been a lifelong WWE fan. It's not meant to be an insult. I used to be a lifelong WWE fan. I used to think it was the best shit in the world. I used to think it was the hottest shit in the world. But 10, 12, however many years of watching that crap, oh man. All of my complaints about WWE could be saved for a series of videos, but I'm not going to get into all of them here. But I just want to let people know who are spreading this crap about AEW being insert negative modifier here because they acknowledge WWE. You're coming at this all wrong, okay? Throwing shade at the competition, throwing shade at the other company, throwing shade at the other territory, you want to go back that far? It's a part of the business. That's something else that just seems to go whoosh, right over the heads of the people who are out there saying, oh, you mentioned Vince McMahon. Oh, so, yeah, and look up Billionaire Ted on YouTube. If you can stomach, like 90 seconds of god-awful tripe, look up the Billionaire Ted segments. Vince McMahon used to make a habit out of trying to get under Ted Turner's skin, whether it was with lawsuits or mentioning their shit on television, making fun of how old the wrestlers were, making fun of Ted Turner's teeth, his hair, his accent, making fun of Atlanta. Vince McMahon used to relentlessly mock. And when Triple H, by the way, when Triple H and DX and all of those other scrubs got together in a military vehicle and descended upon the very arena that WCW was doing their live show, how many of you WWE fans were out there clamoring and complaining that, oh my God, you went right to where they're having their show and you were mentioning that you're trying to get in their heads, you're desperate. And that was when they were losing the war, I'm pretty sure. Nobody saw, no WWE lifer to this day, that they see that as one of the greatest segments that WWE ever produced. But it was WWF literally going to the place that WCW was recording, was having their show live and trying to get into the building and making a big deal of it on their very own television show. It's regarded as one of the greatest things ever. You see it on all of the greatest moments in WWE history compilations. What's the point? The point is throwing shade at the competition is as wrestling gets. And whether what you're watching isn't necessarily wrestling, but entertainment, it's as entertainment as entertainment gets. Actors throw shade at each other all the time. Athletes, are you kidding me? All the shit talk in sports? Intersports shit talk. So sometimes an athlete from the NBA will talk shit about an athlete from the NFL and a thing will get started. Inter-brand shit talk on Twitter between Wendy's and McDonald's and Taco Bell and Rally's / Checkers and In-N-Out Burger and whatever. and brands, all sorts of brands, you know, going back and forth, having these tussles on the internet. It's just the way business in general is conducted. If you have a problem with that being the way that business is conducted in this world, that's fine. But you shouldn't think that Vince McMahon is exempt from it, because you'd be wrong. And I think I've made my points pretty much clear on all of that.